Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a topic I know a lot of you are fascinated by. Busy cities.
Oh, yeah. Cities that really make you feel the pulse, the energy.
Exactly. And luckily, one of you sent in this awesome article from 10 Most today called The 10 Busiest Cities in the World.
A great starting point.
For sure. And I think what we'll do is we won't just list these cities off.
Right.
Let's go deeper, you know? What makes a city feel truly busy?
I'm in. It's more than just crowds, right?
Yeah, and this article gets that.
Yeah.
It's not just about how many people live there.
It brings in tourism, economics, like all these forces colliding.
It's like this recipe for busyness, and we're going to break down the ingredients.
I like that.
So first up, no surprise, New York City.
The city that never sleeps. I mean, that nickname alone tells you something.
It does. But the article mentions it's home to something like 19 million people.
Plus over 50 million tourists every year. And the thing is, it's not just the numbers, it's the 204/7 thing. Right?
Yeah, like always on the go.
Fueled by that financial industry, that energy. Imagine living there, always that hum.
I know, right? Is it exciting or is it exhausting? Maybe both.
Probably both.
Okay, next we're going to Tokyo. Now this one's described as like this mix of the super modern and the traditional.
Such a unique energy there.
And the article points out how many of the residents are described as independent, business-minded teenagers.
Yeah, that caught my eye too. You know, Japan's got this aging population, shrinking workforce.
So these teenagers are kind of like the future.
Yeah, they're stepping into some big shoes. That's
Yeah.
got to shape the city's vibe.
Totally. Okay, now over to Europe, specifically London. I've been to London, and it's busy, but like in a different way.
It's a different flavor of busy.
Yeah.
The article actually focuses on the movement there, like 1,400 daily flights.
Wow.
Plus their whole transport system, the buses, the underground, it's constant flow.
And think about those strikes they've had recently, if you're trying to get around during that.
Oh, total chaos.
Next up is Beijing, a city steeped in history, but also like on fast forward in terms of growth.
It's this hub, right? For transportation especially, but also for how they're blending their old ways of doing business with the super high tech.
Yeah, it's like they're time traveling, but into the future. And speaking of rapid development, next is just Shanghai, known for its beauty, but also it seems like it might become like the financial center.
It's got the potential, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Every time I hear about Shanghai, it's like, bam, a new skyscraper or some crazy invention.
It's like they're not even waiting for the rest of us to catch up.
And as China's economy keeps growing, Shanghai's going to be right there leading the way.
Oh yeah, they've got the transportation, the trade, they're set up to be major players.
All right, next up is a city that really makes you think, Hong Kong. This article describes it as, get this, a mix of communism and capitalism.
It sounds impossible, right? But they somehow make it work.
I know, it's like defying all the rules. Low taxes, free trade, powerful real estate companies. It's like an experiment in, like economic fusion.
Exactly. It's a reminder that the world doesn't fit neatly into boxes.
No, it definitely doesn't. Okay, from Hong Kong, we're jumping to Singapore. Known for being safe and stable, plus, like, everyone raves about the food scene.
And the article highlights their high-tech structures and booming tourism industry. They seem to be doing a lot of things right.
It's like they've found that sweet spot. Strong economy, but people still have a good quality of life.
Yeah, not an easy balance to strike.
And their public transportation is supposed to be incredible, which makes sense in a city that's always on the move.
I always picture, like, those beautiful old buildings when I think of Moscow.
And the history?
Tons of it. But the article actually focuses on their metro system, which I thought was interesting.
Really? Why is that?
Well, think about it. Moscow's known for its traffic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So having a really good metro system, it's essential. It's like the city's lifeline.
It's like how they keep everything moving.
Right. Exactly. Okay, get ready for a change of pace, because next up is Dubai, business hub of the Middle East.
Skyscrapers, luxury shopping.
Oh, and the nightlife. Dubai went from, like, a desert town to this global metropolis.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And lastly, we come to Mumbai, the richest city in India, but also the article really focuses on how many people are moving there.
Trying to make a better life for themselves.
Yeah, it's that pool of opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
But it also puts a strain on the city, on its resources.
It's like a constant push and pull, right, between growth and the challenges that come with it.
Exactly. So we've covered 10 very different cities, each with its own kind of busy.
But this list is just a starting point, right?
Totally. Busy isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. There are so many other factors that contribute to how a city feels.
Like, what about all those cities that didn't make the top 10? They're still vibrant and dynamic, but maybe in different ways.
For sure. Take like São Paulo in Brazil or Lagos in Nigeria. They're both experiencing huge population growth, tons of economic activity.
Yeah. And often, they're doing it with less infrastructure.
Exactly. It's a different kind of busy, one that's driven by necessity and rapid change.
It's like busy can be a sign that things are happening, that a city's transforming itself.
Absolutely. But let's get real for a second. All this talk about busy, it sounds exciting, but what's it actually like for the people who live there?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement, the hustle and bustle.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's people's lives, right?
Exactly. So it's like busy can be a good thing.
Well, for sure. I mean, it often means there's economic opportunity, jobs, businesses popping up.
And that energy, that cultural mix.
Yeah, you're at the center of things. Stuff is happening.
But there's got to be a downside, too.
Oh, yeah. Like, the cost of living can get crazy in those really busy cities.
And just competing for, like, everything. Apartments, jobs.
Even just space to breathe. And that pace of life can be relentless,
It can be hard to keep up.
So it's about finding that balance, I think, between the excitement of it all and just, like, not burning out.
Different cities seem to handle it differently, too.
Oh, definitely. Some are all about efficiency, order.
Others are more like, go with the flow, embrace the chaos.
And that's part of what gives each city its personality, right? All this talk about these cities is making me want to travel.
Me too. I'm picturing myself, like, wandering through those neon streets in Tokyo or getting lost in, like, the history of Moscow.
Each one has its own pull, doesn't it? If you had to pick one city from this list just to experience it, which one would you go for?
Ugh, that's a tough one. So many good choices.
I know, right?
But if I had to pick, I think I'd go with Tokyo. The mix of the ancient and the super high-tech. The transportation system is supposed to be amazing. It just seems like there's so much to discover there.
It's like a whole other world condensed into one city.
Exactly. How about you?
I'm kind of torn between the energy of Shanghai and the, like, historical weight of Moscow.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Shanghai, it's like the future is happening there right now. In Moscow, it's like stepping back in time, but in a good way.
It's like a living museum, but also a modern city at the same time.
Ugh, decisions. Maybe I need to visit both, Bill.
Why not? Right. The world is out there waiting.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into these busy cities, what are, like, the main things we want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest one is that busy means different things in different places.
It's not just about how many people are crammed into a square mile.
Exactly. It's the mix of population, the tourism, the economy. It's a whole vibe.
And we saw how busy can be good, but it can also be challenging.
Yeah, there's always that trade-off, the opportunities that come with it, but also the potential downsides.
And I think it's important to remember that all these cities and so many more out there, they all have their own stories, their own energy.
It's what makes exploring cities so exciting.
Yeah.
You never know what you'll find.
Okay, so we've gone from the skyscrapers of New York to the markets of Mumbai, and hopefully we've made you a little bit more curious about these amazing places.
And before we go, we want to leave you with something to think about. Imagine yourself living in one of these cities, really being a part of it.
Which one would you choose, and why? What is it about that city's busyness that, like, speaks to you?
This is more than just a daydream, though. It's about thinking about what kind of environment you thrive in.
So spend some time thinking about it. Picture yourself walking those streets, feeling that energy.
Who knows? Maybe this deep dive will inspire your next trip.
And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time, happy exploring.